It's time for Juco Jam, presented to you by Dream Big Athletics, hosted by Tad Slowick, an exciting new podcast bringing you all the great action from Juco baseball. Here you'll find weekly updates from around the country, highlighting the teams, players, and coaches who impact the game at the junior college level. Everything you want to learn about Juco baseball can be found here and on our website at dreambigathletics.com. There you'll find our weekly team rankings, the top player rankings headed into the spring, and all the news of what is happening in the game at the junior college level. On this show, you will have many guests, coaches, players who will give us insight on the day-to-day, behind-the-scenes working of junior college baseball. And now our host, Tad Slowick.
Welcome, baseball fans, to another episode of the Juco Jam, sponsored by Dream Big Athletics. I'm your host, Tad Slowick. And I'm here today again with our great friend, Lou Temple. Lou, how you doing today?
Fishing's fine, Tad, and I'm excited today. Lots going on in Juco baseball. And my friend, you've been you've been on the road. Where have you been? Tell us.
Yeah, down in Panama City, beautiful place on the beach, very nice Panama City baseball complex down there, and just a great setting for baseball, and just a ton of quality teams come down there. There must have been 10 ranked teams and some honorable mention teams there too, and out of the 16. So the competition was big time fierce. We saw some great teams, some great players, a lot to report about.
So did you have any time to eat, sleep, drink, breathe, or were you just bearing down on players and games?
Over to the next field to the next game, and then they take it on the chin too, because and that's the one lesson learned, obviously, in baseball. You got to be consistent, and you got to bring your game all the time, or you're going to get beat. So these teams, I thought that the players had a lot of enthusiasm out there. They played hard, and some teams played well, and then other teams just kind of didn't play up to their potential too. So that happens in baseball, and made for a great set. A long time ex-big leaguer and stuff, yeah. And he ran a nice program there, and then they left it in good hands here with Ryan Isle, his first year as head coach of that club, and they came out very prepared to play, and did a great job. They ended up winning that tournament. Pitching and playing defense. Guys like Cade Snell, came out. Their big lefty who's going to Alabama. He came in and won their first game for him. And, it's interesting kid. He also swings the bat too, and, hit a home run, and, he's got some good things going on with the bat too. So,
You like him on both ways. Ohtani style.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man. Definitely wouldn't keep him out of the lineup. That's for sure. So, I mean, he's quality guy from both sides, both pitching and hitting. Also, Dylan Dickert. They had a right-handed pitcher there who gave him 5 strong innings also down there, and the big thing with them is they were very fundamentally sound for the first few days out here, and they pitched and played defense, and they won a lot of tight games, and they just produced when they had to. So hats off to Ryan Island, his first year as the coach. Other guys who did well, Ellis Yan, catcher for them. He was 5 for 11 on the weekend with 2 homers and 7 RBIs, and obviously we mentioned Snell with went 4 for 9 with a home run and 4 RBIs also. Had 5 strikeouts on the mound in 5 innings. So hats off to them. They look good coming out of the gate, and they made one of the biggest jumps in our rankings this week and up to number 12. So I expect good things from them the rest of the way.
And you were there to see it. That's super cool. I mean, I'm always excited when a couple of catchers do well and swing the bat. Talk about, I think, Bennett.
Jake Bennett, San Jack, big, strong kid, big presence behind the plate, strong physical kid, and also could swing the bat. He's got 3 homers this year, and is really swinging the bat well, and, does a good job behind the plate. He's flexible. He moves around pretty well, blocks balls, and he's a gamer too. He brings it every day, and, it's good to see. There were other catchers here in this tournament who, made their presence known. Got Eli Birch um, from Chipola, who had another big weekend. He's hitting 393 now with a homer and 9 RBIs. Swinging the bat real good. And then we got the catcher from Flodar Tech, Dylan Johnson, who's off to a great start, hitting 528. Yeah. So I mean, these catchers, not only are just catch and throw guys, but they can swing the bats a little bit. So, are really
Anybody
impressive.
anybody on the mound light you up, Tad? Just somebody that just, hey, and I'm not just talking velo, but movement and location, and just really,
Yeah, well, I mean, Marty
obviously
Gare.
Snell.
Yeah, yeah, Snell is a solid guy. He's a 89-90 fastball guy with good late movement, classic lefty stuff. Good breaking ball, good change. So
Right.
he's the guy who's going to keep you in all those games. Also, Marty Gare was a guy who stood out for me too. His velo was very good, up to 96. Good, real good breaking ball. The scouts really like him, and he's got 9 punch outs so far in 6 innings of work only, and doing real well. Another guy who's got pretty good velo too is mid 90s guy is Drew Howard for Chipola. He's got 13 Ks and in 7 innings pitch, and also the lefty on Chipola, Dylan Haynes. He's got 14 strikeouts in 6 innings pitch with only 1 run let up and only 3 hits. So he's throwing the ball good. Kale Lansville, right-handed pitcher for San Jack, is throwing the ball real good. He was up to 94 with good breaking ball. I mean, he's a strike thrower. He's a good athlete, repeats his delivery, pounds his zone real good with his stuff, and really does a good job. They got Titan Hayes, out of the bullpen, throwing up to 97, and I think he struck out like 4 guys in an inning and 2/3 so far. So, he was impressive. The guy from Northwest Florida has a lot of good arms. They got Kyle Beatty over there, but a guy who really impressed me was David Ramsey. He's pitched 8 innings so far this year, no runs, 10 Ks, only 1 walk, and I think you're going to see the same thing over and over again from all these good pitchers. We talk about how they got big strikeouts but hardly any walks, and not walking people and letting up freebies is the way to go. And then the host team, they featured 2 real strong left-handed guys, both pro type guys, and the scouts were really impressed with them. Carson Dorsey, left-handed pitcher for Gulf Coast. He's had a good year so far. 8 innings pitched, 3 hits, a run, 11 Ks, 3 walks only. And then Christian Apor, a kid from Wisconsin, drafted last year, came down to Gulf Coast there, and he threw real well for him. He was up to 94, I think. 9 innings pitched. He's got 13 Ks, only let up 2 hits, no walks. 13 Ks, no walks, lefty.
Jeez.
Throwing 94.
I
I mean,
know.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good looking kid right there, no doubt about it. And then another guy I want to mention too is Jacob Frost from Wabash Valley. 5 innings pitch, only let up a run. He had 5 Ks his first outing. Looked real good, moved the ball around, had good stuff. So, he's a good looking guy also. And that's pretty much. There was other good performances, solid performances there also. There was plenty to see on the mound, and and some guys who swung the bat real good too.
So Tad, this is a little behind the scenes, pulling back the curtain a little bit. But when you're out there and you see a lot of your contemporaries with major league teams scouting, you got to feel good about where you're at. You're in the right place. Do you? And don't mention any names. I don't want you giving away any of your secrets. But do you bear down on anyone else and go, oh, I can tell so and so's looking at this guy, I am too, that validates sort of my evaluation of players? Or do you just let it go and say, hey, I'm good with what I have?
Yeah, I'm good with what I have. It's always good to know you're in the right place. With other scouts being around there, that means that there's someone out on the mound that has talent. And you could read the gun, and guys throwing 94, 93, 96. I mean, those things are obvious. But breaking down the pitcher from the standpoint of what other pitches he has, how much feel he has for the game, how he repeats his delivery, how athletic he is, and able to, get his mechanics together. So he's got that big upside someday. And, because that's at the end of the day, it's good to have stuff, but, you got to be able to put it in the strike zone, or you're not going to pitch at the next level. You're not going to pitch for one of these big 4-year schools, or you're not going to pitch at pro ball after a while. At pro ball, they're a little more lenient because they got money invested in you to let you kind of find your way a little bit. But eventually, name of the game is throwing strikes, and that's, like I said, that's what I've been pretty impressed with. All these young men, pounding the strike zone and pitching the contact and not shying away from stuff. So
Yeah,
it's good.
so it's pretty amazing. You're 2 weeks in, and the ball games that you've talked about or reported back to us have been really good baseball games. For this time of the year, we're just getting out and getting going, and these teams are playing solid, low-scoring baseball. And it used to be that if the starting pitcher left the game, the gates opened up, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like the guys that are coming in middle and closing are just as capable, and games are being held low scoring games. Is that
Yeah, well, especially with these, better clubs, is one guy gets off the mound and then another guy just as good or whatever comes back out there to pitch, and so there's guys with a lot of talent on these teams, and the pitching staffs are pretty deep, and if they could keep their guys healthy and pitching and throwing strikes, I mean, a lot of these teams are going to go deep into the playoffs and get the Grand Junction.
now?
So.
See, that used to wear me out because I used to appreciate the breaks, where I didn't have to bear down on that next pitcher coming in who had a great arm, or maybe we didn't know much about him. But when you're just constantly focusing, you're evaluating guys. It's a
Yeah.
lot of it's a lot of work.
Well, I give the scouts just credit, being one myself for all those years, and still am one, obviously, and um, you know, the ability to just have to move around and power scout, because that's basically what you're doing this weekend. You're power scouting.
Love that term.
You're not trying to miss. You're trying not to miss anybody. You gotta see the pitchers, and the pitchers are the obvious, a little more obvious, because they're on the mound, and getting the hitters. Sometimes they get walked. Sometimes they don't have their best at bat. Getting a feel for them is a lot more difficult than getting a feel for pitchers, because they're out there pitching, and you can evaluate them fairly easy. But like I said, power scouting. These guys are all moving from one field to the next field, and they don't want to miss the next guy, and try to get a good evaluation on them, at least a good feel for them, to bring them back at some time during the spring, when these guys are, hitting their strides a little bit more too. But, it's also good to see, good guys out of the gate. And speaking of hitters, I mean, it's like I said, just getting to spot these guys, who can play, and coaches are smart too. I mean, what you bear down on mostly is the guys at the top of the order, the guys in the middle of the order who you know are there for a reason. So you try to bear down on them a little bit more. Some of the guys who had great weekends, this Nicholas Williams from Wabash Valley, really swung the bat good. He was 5 for 11 with a home run. He had 5 stolen bases also. From Florida Southwestern, Derek Williams continues to swing a hot bat. He's got some juice in that bat. That ball really jumps when he hits it. He's got 3 homers, 11 RBIs on the season. And one guy who's making, who I've seen over the last couple of years, who's always been a good player, and he's not disappointing this year, is Kevin Carstetter from State College of Florida.
Okay.
Right now, this guy, he's hitting 400, he's got 4 homers and 16 RBIs, both which are tops in junior college baseball right now up in the thing. And then he's got 5 doubles and 3 stolen bases. He plays good defense too. Kevin Karstead is a player, man. Always been a player, and I like the way he handles the game. I talked about Chipola, Eli Birch already. Behind the plate, catching, swinging the bat. Another guy who's really got off to a good start for Chipola is Brady Browning. He's hitting 438 with 2 homers and 7 RBIs. Really swinging a hot bat. The guy from Miami-Dade, who we think is one of the better hitters in the state of Florida right now. Woo Yul Shin, a Korean player. He's at Miami-Dade here. He's off to a pretty good start, 370, a homer, 6 RBIs also. Blake Cavell for Northwest Florida's got 3 homers and 9 RBIs, so he's swinging the bat good too. And then we know San Jack doesn't disappoint with their lineup. Armani Sanchez, their shortstop, just off to a great start, hitting 529 right now. He's got 3 stolen bases, can run, can do a lot of things. He's a real interesting player. He's a little older, but he's an interesting player. And then, we spoke about Jake Bennett, the power that he's got. And, a guy that's like their professional hitter from Luke Nail. It's I think in the number 2 hole, he's hitting 412 for them. So, San Jack's going to be there and swing the bats. But let's talk about the up and comers too. We talked about the Wallace Dothan kid, Ellis Yan, the catcher, who has a couple homers. Cade Snell swung the bat good. From Florida Tech, Will Durrell, he's hitting 439 with 2 homers and 12 RBIs. Rio Foster's hitting 522, and then we mentioned catcher Dylan Johnson hitting 528. And the team I want to talk about a little bit here is this Andrew club.
Right.
I mean, Andrew really made a statement. I mean, last year they made a statement, beat San Jack, and then they went on to a solid season, but nothing spectacular. But I think they're really gunning for things this year. I mean, they took 3 out of 4 from highly ranked teams, and just made a statement that they played good baseball, nothing flashy, but all kids went out there and competed. They weren't scared of anybody. They played with a lot of passion, and give Blake Williams, the head coach over there at Andrew, credit for having those kids ready out of the gate. And they played just solid baseball, pitched well, played defense, and had good timely hitting, and did some real good things. Mitch Cowan, especially, he was 8 for 14. He had 3 RBIs, and then Ben Crawley also was 6 for 13 with 3 RBIs. So,
Nice.
they had guys who produced when they had to. They came to play, and I'm hoping to hear a lot about Andrew this year. Like last year, they had that good game, and then they kind of just settled into the crowd. But I think this could be a breakout year for them, and see a lot of good things headed their way. So.
Well, that's fantastic, Tad. It sounds like it was an amazing weekend in Panama City. Let's move on and speak a little bit about our rankings this week. You have decided, based on scores and outcomes of games, that you've opened up your rankings from top 25 to top 40. Explain your decision, will you, please?
Yeah, I mean, well, I always was tweeting out, "Oh, Division I has so many quality ranked quality teams," and I'm sitting there going, "Well, we should get more of these teams on display instead of a team like Andrew coming out of nowhere. Just kind of get them in the mix early to see how they could make a rise up from instead of just being out of the rankings and coming into the rankings because they're playing well and deservedly so. A team like Wallace Dothan, coming from the honorable mention high into the rankings also, and Pima, teams like those, we want to get a kind of a history on them and get the fans to get to know these teams a little bit before they start climbing to the top of the charts. So I thought this was a better way for the fans out there to get to know these players, get to know these teams, get to know how many quality programs there are at the Division I level at junior college baseball. I mean, I see in other publications like NCAA Division I goes up to top 50. So, I think that quality of programs, that there's that quality of talent here at the Division One NJCAA, and I decided to open it up so
Good for
fans can.
you. Well,
Yeah,
I think if you see them, why not give them credit and give yourself credit too for being out there and like you said, give the audience an opportunity to familiarize themselves with these teams that are making hay in Arizona. Tell us what's happening out here.
yeah. Well, they got Arizona has been really strong so far this year. It'll be interesting to see how they play against each other now that conference is going to start. They've had their couple tournaments to start the year, and we'll see how conference starts. First of all, I want to backtrack a little bit too, and just talk about Central Florida real quick.
Of
Central
course.
Florida is our new number one team. They're 7-0 right now. 6-0 was yesterday. They won again yesterday, so they're 7-0. I just want to talk about them briefly at the top of the rankings. Led by James Hill and Brian Holiday on the mound. They got a couple real good relievers, freshman kids who I really like. Keller Eberly. He's doing a great job. He's got 11 Ks in 6 innings. I mean, just dominating out of the bullpen. And also 6'8", Emmanuel Dooley. He's got 6 strikeouts in 3 innings. Swing the bat's good. Carson Baines got 2 homers, 9 RBIs. Kanan George is just tearing it up, hitting over 300 with 4 homers, 7 RBIs. And then this Corey Valentin, the shortstop, hitting 545. He's got 6 RBIs and 3 stolen bases. So they got a complete club. I saw them the first week out in Auburndale, and they got a complete club, and they deserve this spot at this moment right now. And, we'll see how long that they can hang on to it. And, like I said, they got a quality team and should be able to do well. Central Arizona moved down to number 2, and that's where we talk about also our rankings as far as the teams out west. Some of the biggest climbers this week were, Cochise moved up to number 7. Then South Mountain moved up to number 9, and then Pima's in the number 11 spot. So, I think that you got 4 teams in that conference already in the top 11. So I think that's going to be a really good, tough road out there for all those teams.
Yeah.
They're going to have to play each other coming up here.
South Mountain off to a great start. Their schedule has been just as tough as anyone else's, or
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
They've been tough, and they've played all quality teams so far, and beaten Pima in a head-to-head at the tournament championship that they had over this past weekend out in Arizona. They had Central Arizona was there, South Mountain, Pima, Southern Nevada, New Mexico. I mean, they had some quality teams there, and good competition.
So you still have teams that haven't got off to the best starts, but have played very good baseball. San Jack being one of them. Obviously, a team like Gulf Coast maybe hasn't got off to as good a start as we might have thought. Chipola. You still have faith in these teams.
Yeah, no, these teams are all good teams. Gulf Coast had a good weekend this past weekend after they had a little slow start the first weekend. But, all these teams I feel have the talent that they'll be there. They'll be a big factor in the end. Some of the top performances out west in this tournament that they had over the weekend in the Phoenix area there was Matt Wilkinson from Central Arizona. He's been pitching great this year so far. He had 7 innings pitched, through a shutout, no runs, 8 Ks, and no walks again. Jackson Jelkin, who was the most valuable pitcher out there from South Mountain, he pitched 5 innings of shutout baseball and had 12 strikeouts. So, I mean, he just was totally dominant. And then let's give credit to Anthony Imhoff, also from Pima, who had 6 innings pitched with 3 hits, a run, and 10 Ks, and no walks again. So, we talked about it earlier. The no walks deal is the what's going to make you pretty successful as far as, on the mound this year. So some other top performances. We had Matt Cornelius from Pimas throwing the ball real well. He's 2-0 with 10 innings pitched, 3 hits, 17 Ks, 2 walks only. I mean, he's just dominating. Patrick Stites from Central Arizona's, got 9 innings pitched. He's only let up a run, 6 hits and 15 Ks and 2 walks. So, there's guys who are really getting it done on the mound. And then up at the plate, you had Kenneth Jimenez from South Mountain, who was the MVP of the whole weekend tournament here. He was 9 for 16 with a homer, 6 RBIs with a couple doubles. Lou Albrecht, catcher for Central Arizona, swinging a bat, good 7 for 20 with a home run,
right?
6 RBIs. I know you always root for those catchers
I
because
do,
you were
dude.
a catcher.
I do.
Hey, here I got another one for you too. Hunter Fealdo from Pima, a catcher, hitting 345 with a homer and 8 RBIs. So, your catchers are doing well, and the baseball out west is really competitive, highly competitive, and it's going to be interesting to see when these teams go after each other during the week. Another couple other good performances from around the country. McLennan had a solid tournament this weekend in Panama City. They stayed at number 3. And, they led by Tyler Johnson, their center fielder, who's hitting 448 with 6 doubles, 7 RBIs. And then Walter State's got a couple big thumpers. They come in at number 4. They moved up a few spots.
Nice.
They're 4-1, and Cruz Newman for them is really tearing it up. He's hitting 500 with 3 homers and 9 RBIs. And then fresh and Keaton Ray, we had mentioned him last week. He's hitting 615 with 2 homers and 11 RBIs. So that's the way to get off a good start.
Yeah, but
that helps on those 0-4 days coming up.
Yeah, a hot start, and they'll pitch him a little different this coming week, I'm sure. Tad, some of the teams that have slipped into this new ranking system at 40, talk about some teams that you feel are at the bottom.
Well, it's good to highlight some of these other teams. You got a team like a team at 33, Santa Fe is 8-0. They're undefeated.
Yeah.
They're going to start to get into a tougher part of their schedule now. And so the same thing with Southern Idaho at 34. They're 8-0 also, and they're going to get into their tougher part of their schedule now. Georgia Highlands is a good club. They're undefeated at 5-0, off to a good start. Them and Andrew will have to battle it out this year for that region. It looks like so. That's going to be some pretty good competition. And then I really like Jefferson County. We had mentioned pitching earlier. They got all those lefties. They're off to a 4-0 start and looking real good too. So, pitching's been the theme early. The teams that have pitched well and played defense have seemed to win their ball games, and the bats will start getting going here shortly. And I think it's fasten your seatbelts. We're in for another couple great weeks of junior college baseball coming up.
Well, that is exciting. I think that the season has started off with a bang, and will continue to do so. Again, you can find all of these rankings at dreambigathletics.com. Go to that website. You'll be able to find not just Division I rankings, but also Division II and Division III.
And Division 2 and 3 will be cranking up here over the next couple of weeks. Pearl River got off to a good start, sweeping 4 games right out of the chute. And, you're going to start seeing those teams start opening up their season, and you're going to be hearing all the news, all the info coming from us. And we want to get you to know all these great programs in junior college baseball and all these great players that play on these teams, and that's what we're trying to do here, promote that. And there's so much to talk about and so many good things. And it's great that you were able to join us again here, Lou. And
well, we'll keep talking because that's what we do. We're jamming.
Right, we're jamming, and we're having a good time. And I really enjoyed this weekend. Like I said, Panama City put on a great show, and always good to see good baseball. And the rest of the country hopefully will start opening up soon, and we'll get baseball everywhere. So look forward to talking with you again, Lou, on the Juco Jam.
All right. Well, the fishing's fine, and you heard it right there from Tad Sloak, Juco Jam. So thanks for having me, Tad. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, and stay tuned for next week's episode of the Juco Jam, and we'll be jamming next week too.
You've been listening to Juco Jam. For all your junior college needs, go to dreambigathletics.com and make sure to tune in to next week's episode of Juco Jam.